Right, let's go and speak to Mariette. Here goes nothing. Mariette, is it alright if I ask you a few questions about yourself? Bien sûr, mademoiselle. What do you wish to know? Well, you should be able to tell me more than Lavinia did, because Lavinia was useless. How was France? What is your family name? Miss Minchin did not say. Dumas. That's not like Dumas, is it? That's got to be Dumas. Or Dumas? I'm going to go with Dumas. Mademoiselle. Oh, are you a relative of the great French writer, the author of Three Musketeers? She's a fucking maid. What the fuck do you think? Like, come on, just think about that for a second. Like, your surname's Smith. Are you a relative of that one Prime Minister? Probably not. Mariette chuckled kindly. No, mademoiselle. Oh, well, not in a close way, I am not. There are many with the name Dumas, and I cannot know what connections there are between all people. Do you know all of your cousins and your cousins' cousins, all who bear the name of Crewe? I do not know anyone else named Crewe except myself and my papa. So, you see, I cannot say who my relatives might be at some distance. How'd you... What about your grandparent? You have grandparent, but... Is the twist in this we're some sort of weird demented alien? Like, I guess it's the olden days, like, grandparents die early. Woo! Sarah nodded. Where in France do you come from? I grew up in Limoges. Limoges? That doesn't sound right. Limois? I don't know. You may have heard of the Limoges box, the porcelain? Sarah shook her head. Ah, well, they were famous once. Perhaps they will be again. For now, like much of Limoges, they have faded. Faded. What is it like there? Ah, what is it like anywhere? It is a city, not so large as Paris or London, no. Is it near Paris? Non, pas très proche. I don't know what that means. For 3... something? The random French is throwing me off. You must rely on the railways to travel between them. All trains lead to Paris. Sarah tried to picture it. She did not know Limoges, but if it was in the south, then it must be warm and green, surely. Well, depending on how poor the city is, let's not, you know... She had been seeing paintings of France, stone houses, arches and bridges, rolling green hills, hanging vines, and sunlight, always sunlight. Not the fogs of London. There are fogs anywhere. The grass is always greener on the other side, like it's not, you know? Whatever. It must be lovely, as you say, mademoiselle. How did you come to take this position? What I mean to say is my papa and I did not have time to visit France, and I did not meet you until you came here. Did you meet my papa somewhere else? No, we have never met in flesh and blood. Your papa, he is a gentleman and knows many other gentlemen in fine cities like Paris. When it happened that he wished to appoint a maid, he wrote to this Paris gentleman to describe you. And I have a cousin who works for this Paris gentleman, and he thought of me, so the arrangements were made. You could have been anyone. Look, she could have been a crazy serial killer. We got her based off of a recommendation of a friend, basically. Like, great. And I'm glad that they were. Sarah smiled. The gentle warmth of Mariette's regard was very comforting for a little girl, one who had been separated from her family and made to live in a far-off place. It was true that Mariette was, for the most part, only another stranger, like any other in Miss Minchin's seminary. They were only just beginning to know each other. And yet Mariette was simply not a stranger who might come and go like the students. She was Sarah's maid, the beginnings of her very own household. She might in time be the closest thing to family. Well, let's not push it. I wonder about the friend my papa has in Paris. I wonder if he ever knew my mother. Ask. She's not going to tell you to go fuck yourself. I think you're okay. Apparently not. God damn it. Right, we need belief. Oh, we're not doing that yet. Did you see that darling little blue and yellow bird on the way back from the church? It was only a blue tit. They're hopelessly common. I hadn't seen one before. Yes, because you spent a lot of time in India. Whatever. They're country birds. They're like trees. You don't see them so much in London. There must be many more birds in the countries. Are there any birds in England that are blue all over? Child curiosity, I guess. I don't think so. There are blue birds in India. Well, there are some birds with bright blue feathers, but not all over, and some birds that are blue all over, but only a bit blue. I thought that perhaps in England I might find the blue bird of happiness. Yeah, sure. Of course you will. What is that? I shall tell you, all of you. Come up to my room and we shall have tea delivered. You shouldn't give orders to cook. It's not proper for a young lady to go into the kitchens. Oh, I won't go. My maid Mariette will fetch the tea for us. You have your own personal maid to bring you tea? Yes, my father arranged for her to come from France. Come and say hello. Is she jealous that we have money? Sarah and her entourage were greeted at the door. Oh my, so many visitors. If it's all right, would you please bring tea for my guests, Mariette? Oui, mademoiselle. Mariette went at once to the kitchens to carry out her little mistress's orders. Are we now playing as the maid? The head cook of Miss Minchin's select seminary looked up at Mariette's approach, her face as pinched as her dough. Here now, what's this then? Afternoon tea for 4. Oh, is that all? I expect she'll be wanting fresh cakes too, never mind that we haven't made any. Ah, none. There are biscuits already. Never seen that stop one of the girls from wanting more, quick as you please. Everyone's so lovely cynical. I feel like I could fit in perfectly here. It is perhaps so with some, but not with my mistress. She has the air of a princess, something small. I don't know what a lot of that meant. I mean, come on. Yeah, you don't need a grip of other languages other than English to know what that first sentence said, right? Le air d'une princesse. I mean, it's not rocket science. She thanks me for my work just as if she were thanking a grand lady. Giving herself airs, you mean? As you wish it, still I am very pleased with my place. Now, the tea? Apparently we were randomly playing as Mariette. Right, we need belief. What's the chances that we won't get any again? We don't need any knowledge because we have 10, which I think means we can't get any more, right? Because that's maxed out. I'm not even going to try it. Not even going to try it. What do we need? Don't really know. That's another chance at belief, I guess. It's a 1 in 3 chance. Other than that, we don't really need knowledge. So, is there anything else which gains knowledge? This, but we need that for the belief chances. Could just have a tea party. Yeah, sure, tea party will do. All I need is 1 belief. Way! Okay. It didn't screw us over. We got 2 belief. 1 patience, 3 grace. We should have left something on knowledge, I guess, to see if it can go over 10, but patience was definitely a 9. Right this way, dear Sarah. Lady Pitkin will be absolutely charmed to meet you. I'm not... I mean, all I'm saying is the feeling isn't mutual, is all I'm saying. Yes, Miss Minchin. Where is she taking Sarah? Knowing that teacher, she's taken me to be beaten by the nearest belt she has. She's not a fan. Miss Minchin is showing her off to another visiting parent, or maybe a donor, I'm sure I wouldn't know. Dear Sarah must come into the drawing room and talk to Mrs. Musgrave about India. Dear Sarah must speak French to Lady Pitkin. Her accent is so perfect. She didn't learn her French at this seminary, that's for certain. I mean, were you not there when the French teacher said that I am French? I mean, how were you... Whatever. It's fine. And there's nothing so clever in her knowing it. She said herself she didn't learn it at all. She just picked it up because she always heard her papa speak. Are you trying to justify and make yourself feel better? Like, you know, sometimes just admit that other people know 2 languages and that's pretty cool. I don't know. Now I just sound arrogant because I know 2 languages. ¿Sabes qué? Me callaré. There you go. It's simply disgusting the way... It's simply disgusting the way Miss Minchin trots her out like an ornament. I can't imagine being so good at anything Miss Minchin would want to show me off, especially French. Sarah is always imagining she will no doubt grow up to be eccentric. Alright, that one's difficult to argue with. That one's probably true. There is one thing about her, though. She's never grand about herself the least bit, even though she might easily be. I believe I couldn't help being proud just a little if I had so many fine things and was made such a fuss over. A little? If Miss Minchin brought you in to curtsy for a mayor's wife, you would purr, just like Tybalt. Oh, Lavy, don't be so silly. Being a cat might even be nicer than being able to speak French. That's her way of making herself feel better. Well, you could just be a cat. Whatever. And every bit as likely for you. There's no use in waiting here for Sarah. She'll be at tea for hours, I'm sure. We may as well go on our way. Sure. Right. Well, I was going to go her route, but she seems horrible. So we might go here. We haven't had a scene with Hurley yet. Let's see what she's like. Having made up her mind to befriend this unfortunate... Oh my god. Sarah had to seek her out first. The unfortunate... We're doing that thing where we're taking pity on people. Like... That's so bad! That's, I don't like it when people do this. Someone like Lavinia should easily be tracked from a distance by the sharp sound of her voice, or the drumming heels of little girls stampeding away from her presence. Ermengarde, however, kept largely to herself and did not make a great deal of noise. Sarah found her at last, bundled rather disconsolately in a window seat. Forthright and fearless, Sarah walked over to offer a friendly greeting. Hello, what is your name? I mean, we know what her name is. Her name, of course, was already known as they had been introduced, however, briefly, upon Sarah's arrival to the school. Now you just sound like you don't know her. Anxiety's gonna go up. This was, however, the traditional thing that little girls always said to each other by way of beginning an acquaintance. The etiquette of children has its own observances. I feel we're making shit up on the spot at this point. My name's Ermengarde St. John. I still don't know whether that's St. John or St. John. Mine is Sarah Crew. Yours is very pretty. It sounds like a storybook. Do you like it? To understand why she fluttered so nervously, one must recall that a new pupil at school is, for a short time, a very uncertain thing. New pupil? We've been here for 4 fucking weeks! How are we not known at this point? Cliques and friendships in a small environment can become very firmly set indeed and leave no room for the excluded, no matter how many years might pass. To the friendless, then, a new student brings with her own a breath of hope. Here is someone who is not yet claimed. Perhaps she will like me. The pity is so real and it makes me a little upset. And yet, as she is unknown, friendship may not be a possibility. A new girl could equally be as snobbish or foolish or mean-spirited. The hope is always adulterated with fear. This pupil was even more noteworthy than most, for rumours about her had filled the school even before her arrival. She had her own carriage and her own maid. Her rooms were like no one else's. Who are we playing as here, just out of interest? Well, this is the second time we don't appear to be playing as ourselves. Unless this is more observances about herself, which is terrifying. It makes us self-aware and somewhat even worse. Her wardrobe was exquisite. She had the adventure of a voyage from India to discuss. Exquisite? We've worn the same fucking thing for like 3 weeks. How is it exquisite? It is no wonder that Ermengarde was somewhat tongue-tied upon being addressed. I like yours. Your name... Mate, in the nicest possible way, it's Sarah. Like, it's not exotic, is it? My mother is called Sarah, for example. It's not wild, is it? Oh, whatever. She bit her lip in chagrin at her own stumbling. Sarah held out her hand, not as a grand lady might for a gentleman to touch it, but as if greeting someone who was already a friend. After only a moment's hesitation, Ermengarde took it. I'm very pleased to meet you. Me too. You should meet Emily as well. Hasn't Ermengarde been in our fucking room? Like, and here we are just being like, oh, what is your name? Oh, man. Who is Emily? Come up to my room and you shall see, all right? Right, come up to my room. No. They jumped down from the window seat together and went upstairs. Is it true that you have a whole playroom all to yourself? The ordinary pupils of Miss Minchin's Select Seminary earned only small bedrooms to their own. The ordinary pupils. The ordinary pupils. That was something she just said. The ordinary pupils. Oh, those plebeians only have a small bedroom to themselves. Ugh! I bet their papas do not even own large dwellings and boats and yachts. I mean, yachts probably weren't around in this time the more I think about it, but I bet they don't even have their own yachts, some country home and third dwelling in an exotic faraway land. Oh dear. Enough space to sleep and dress and read if they were inclined, but for most activities they must venture out. Yes, Papa asked Miss Minchin to let me have one. She opened the door and beckoned Ermengarde inside. See, there is the sitting room through that door. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, don't fucking give me the Bugs Bunny face too. Sometimes when I'm playing, I make up stories about the things that I am doing and tell them to myself. That I don't like, and I don't like people to hear me. It spoils it if I think people might listen. Does that sound too selfish of me? Yes and no. Yes, but not in the context you're thinking of. Like, she means to sort of like, you're the only one of your friends who has this massive playroom and you're not sharing it. The idea of not wanting others to hear your personal stories is not inherently selfish within itself. You having a playroom being like, yeah, fuck those guys. That is a little bit. I do tell stories for others as well. It is only that some stories, particularly new ones, that I am only just making up are private. They are too delicate to be shared. Oh man. And then the doll came behind from Lucy. And then, oh, got a hand and stuck it right up her skirt. No, I'm gonna guess that's probably not the story she's telling. Ermengarde had paused, her eyes wide. Her eyes are always wide. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know I have small eyes, right? This is the biggest my eyes get, that's it, right? But whose eyes are that big? They'd need to be like that. And my eyes are not that big. It would need to be up to my eyebrows. You make them? How can you do that? Well, anyone can make up things if you never tried. But where do those stories come from? Your mind. Also, that mirror I've just noticed is very dirty. Did someone fucking leave shit all over it? Also, weirdly, you can't see that. You can see the thing on the wall. Like, you can see this here, but you can't see the elephants. How weird. Inside my head. Don't you ever imagine things that might happen that haven't? You must have dreams when you sleep, at least. Ermengarde shook her head, her braids wobbling. I try not to think about things like that. They are too confusing. Not, you know, the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree, are you? Oh dear. That caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting someone to say, no, making up stories is too difficult. I try to only think about that when I'm supposed to be learning at school. I try very hard, but it does not seem to help. Sarah found the concept of a girl with no imagination at all too difficult to grasp. Surely you must read storybooks about things that aren't real? Oh no, I hate to read. Seeing that this response disappointed Sarah, she fished for a better explanation. I don't read well, I can't concentrate, the words run together, and it's so hard to remember anything that I read in a book. The words run together. Okay, so do you mean you're dyslexic? Or do you mean that your mind wanders, and before you know it, a whole page is gone? That is not enough to tell. I am meant to read a great many books for Miss Minchin's classes, but I get them all mixed up. And when we read poems after history, I thought that Christabel was the daughter of the King of Spain. I don't want to read anything more than I absolutely must. I'll only make a muddle of it. If I tried to make up a story, then how would I remember what was real and what wasn't? If you make up a pink tiger, that's quite distinguishable that it's not. Like, that's so distinguishable. There is no way you're just going to think, oh, hang on a second, those pink tigers, they must be true! Like, that's not something you're going to be thinking of, surely. But it's good that you can. What if you read stories about fairies or dragons? Surely you wouldn't get those confused with things at school. But I might, you are very like a fairy. And you are here at school. I'm sorry, and I'm very dull and slow, everyone says so. That's just asking for sympathy. Sympathy which I'm not going to give to you. I understand if you do not wish to spend any more time with me. Fuck me. We found the emo character. We didn't even say anything. Sarah patted Ermengarde on the shoulder in a companionable fashion. At least it wasn't in the head in a patronising fashion. That's what I was expecting. Just, you know. Everyone is different. I am only sorry that it means I cannot share my favourite books with you. Oh yeah, there are yous in this story. I didn't even notice. Well done. I have so many favourites that I love, and I wish that you could love them too. I have an idea. Perhaps if I read them to you, then you would not get them confused with other books. I don't know. It's that Bugs Bunny face. It's so off-putting. Hesitantly, she smiled. But I could try. Good. So we've unwittingly become someone's tutor, apparently. Oh, glorious. Okay, well, another night out with Bitch McFace.